Welcome everybody to Unlocked, and you might see some familiar faces here tonight as we are here with David and Lisa from roomescapeartist.com, and you know my wife Jess, although she's also bringing with her a little extra package to the table here today. So if you're wondering why she's put on a few,
it's not the cookies.
we had a very particular topic we wanted to discuss here today, and we've been going back and forth on Facebook a little bit about this with a lot of headlines that have been happening lately. We want to talk about topics for an escape room that may just be over the top too much, a little too controversial for the medium, maybe.
2 years ago, a company in Europe opened up a Holocaust-themed room and were promptly shut down because of public outcry and protest. And I started a draft of a post then about this. And I said, this is just patronizing. Like, this is common sense. And so I ignored it, and it fell down to the bottom of our drafts. And then, 6 months later, a second company opened up another, I think this time it was an Anne Frank room.
The Anne Frank room. Mm-hmm. I remember the Anne Frank room.
And was promptly shut down, same reason. And I revised the draft. I got it ready. I was like, I'm going to publish this. And then I read it again. I said, this is really patronizing. This is common sense. I'm just not going to do it. And then it happened again a few weeks ago. And I said, well, to hell with it. I'm finishing this post. And I'm publishing it because it's clearly not common sense.
And nothing is clearly common sense, Dave.
Yeah. If escape rooms have taught me anything, that's true. I basically just drew a couple conclusions, which were first is if your game is, if you're using a political theme that is politically relevant, in that people still talk about it in a political sense, that the victims are still alive, or even the kids of the victims are still alive, you may not want to do it.
Well, I'm going to try and play devil's advocate here.
I figured you would.
Of course. Obviously, if we're going to take the Holocaust, for example, or Anne Frank, yes, it is a very sensitive subject. But on the same note, if you turn it into, instead of saying it's an escape room and it's a game and this is fun, if you turn it into more of a lesson, like a history lesson, and you want to actually make people feel emotion and push the boundary to remind people of this was something that was terrible and it actually did happen, and you put them in the situation, what is more terrifying to say, okay, you're Anne Frank and her family, and if you don't do whatever the task is, you're going to be caught. I mean, we talk for our things. We want people to feel something when they're inside. We want them connected to the story. Who can't connect to that and actually come out and feel for these people and say, maybe I need to make some changes or notice something.
We actually know someone who's working on this concept. This is someone we
met.
Not
a Holocaust game.
No, not a Holocaust game, but a game that's supposed to be an educational experience about a historical event. And not a particularly good historical event.
No, he's working with dark material explicitly for the purpose of educating.
I'm not going to lump us in with the Holocaust, but with Witch Hunt, we've experienced a little bit of this. It's based on the Salem witch trials, vaguely, and just from window display. If you walk down the street, we have a noose in the window, and then the game itself. Not to spoil certain things, but there's somebody out the window that may or may not hang at the end of the hour. That we were bringing up. Slavery from Salem and
trying to set women back. We've even had controversy though over a Facebook ad. I just found a picture online that I typed in Salem witch trial, and it's a cartoon of a woman burning at the stake, and there's just
the townspeople
there.
I've seen the.
It got so much attention just off a regular post that we were like, all right, let's turn this into an ad. If you knew the hate messages we got because it was inaccurate and, like we said, setting women back and publicizing this, I'm like, guys, it's just an ad. This isn't actually what our game is if you read it. but it did get your attention. So it's like, I got you talking.
I think this is all touching on a broader subject, which is like a while back, and I wouldn't even share the link. I didn't back then. Someone wrote a think piece on how the whole concept of escape rooms is offensive because people do actually get abducted in real life. And
Well.
yeah. So it's like, I think that if you are looking to be offended,
Yes.
There's always something.
There is
offend
not
you.
a theme you could create that you couldn't invent a reason to be offended by. And there are plenty of themes that exist that people could have a legitimate reason to be bothered by, and
And we write in the ends, we get to the should I play section of some of our posts, and we say, if you've experienced this type of thing in your life, this might not be the game for you.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you're talking about the haunted insane asylum or the insane asylum run by the mad doctor, there are plenty of people who have been through real life psychiatric.
All right, well, here's
institutes.
actually a good example of this. So, Cure Z. The group is inside. They get to the computer. They're doing their mixing and matching of their chemicals. I'm saying this as if the audience know. You probably played Cure Z. Everyone in New Jersey has.
You haven't, why not?
So, guy comes out teary because he had cancer. And part of the virus is based off of a form of cancer. And the triple combination of chemicals of the bortezomib, cyclophosphamide, and dexamethasone are used in blood treatments for cancer patients.
So he thought this was a sign to him that he wasn't going to make it, and he was going to end up like one of the bodies on the table.
Because they didn't win. And
Was very upset.
Oh my God.
And we were just trying to make it as real as possible to say, okay, these are real drugs that are used. And Anthony spent a lot of time doing research to make sure that it was accurate. And we had no idea that someone would be upset by it. So
we just needed a non-invasive way of treating the green veins.
Yeah.
And to filter the bloodstream. And it's used in chemotherapy when they can't do invasive procedures. It's basically a blood transfusion technique that they use to clean out the bloodstream.
Wow.
And the guy was heartbroken. It was sad. He's like, this is a sign I'm not going to make it, and I'm going to be one of them. And it was rough. It was like, this was not how I expected this day to go.
Yeah. I would not have foreseen that.
Right.
But we did get contacted over the summer by somebody who wanted to make a Trump game. And
He was basically asking us whether we thought this was a good idea.
yeah.
I've
And-
heard so many jokes about this
yeah,
over the
yeah,
last couple months.
And
But it was a serious question.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was a serious question, and our answer to him was basically this. It's like, first and foremost, I'm sure that you can make a good game out of that. I'm sure you can make a good game out of just about anything if you really put your heart into it. But you have to be prepared for the backlash. And I'm certain that it would get attention, but are you really ready for people to start calling in bomb threats and threatening your life and your family? And
Are you ready for protesters?
Right.
And
yeah.
And what happens, this was in June, and come November, your joke either ends because the election has ended and he's lost and it's no longer a relevant topic, or he wins and your joke is not funny for a different reason. Regardless of whether you are a supporter or not.
There's an abortion game now, isn't there?
There is. I actually played it.
So do tell.
It's kind of your standard haunted mystery type game. It's nothing outlandish until that point.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Do they market it and say this is about abortion, or
No.
are you just sidelined by
We
it?
we were surprised by it. We knew it had a dark theme. We knew it had some kind of a haunting, a haunted something going on. But we reached the end and we're pretty surprised by the story. It was a reasonably good game, and like I wasn't like it didn't bother me. Then again, none of this stuff really bothers me. We more often call things out in the reviews, mostly because our reviews are all about helping people pick the right game for themselves.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that kind of stuff, we'll call it out, because if you don't want to be in a game themed on a missing airplane or an abortion or something like that, we'll make it known. But I wasn't particularly bothered by it. And the game, from what I understand from speaking to other people who live around it, it's become kind of like a little bit of like a local legend, and people are like, "Oh, have you gone to play the abortion game yet?"
Because I would think that that would be really upsetting to a large amount of women, and I'm surprised.
Where's it located?
It's outside of Dallas.
Okay. Well, maybe that has something to do with it. But I don't know. I would think that there would be some sort of an outcry for women's rights and protesting that, of all things, because that is a very sensitive subject.
For me, I was out there for work, and I took a whole bunch of my coworkers from people who were from all over the country. So the reactions from my coworkers were really interesting, especially my the guy I work with who's from East Texas, who was like, "This is pretty crazy.
Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to bring you here."
Yeah, this is pretty crazy for the area. Like, no one was like really offended, which was good. Like, no one was complaining to HR.
Yeah, that's where David took us.
Yeah. But his response was like, "Wow, I can't believe that this is in Texas."
Yeah.
So that was a surprise.
I almost feel like there'd probably be a difference between, say, a game where, almost like a Hansel and Gretel style thing, where at the end of it, someone sticks you in an oven. Or like there's this part where you're forced into a room and the door's shut and a gas comes in, and it happens to take place in Nazi Germany. There might be a difference between that and being like, this is a Holocaust game.
I've not spoken to, instant messaged, communicated with in any way a single person who has ever played one of those 3 Holocaust games.
Granted, they weren't open for very long. There wasn't a lot of opportunity.
No,
Yeah.
but that's kind of my point, is that for all I know, these games were striving to be educational, or were striving to convey, a heavy social message, and they never got the chance, which is, I think, part of it. Like, that game that in Dallas, it's not like this is the abortion game.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no there's you have to go and play it. You play it and you find out it's actually a reasonably good game, and it has an ending that's really unexpected.
Yeah.
But we walked away like, okay, well, that was dark.
Yeah.
Let's go get dinner.
Yeah.
Whereas I think that some of this is the fact that it's being marketed that way. I think that if you were to brand your game as like the witch hanging, like, you would have a very different reaction from people than calling it witch hunt. And I think some of it is in how they're being framed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we opened Witch Hunt, actually I shouldn't even say when we opened, when we were developing it and getting ready to open and kind of doing like that pre-marketing blitz, the poster for Witch Hunt was, and we still have it out front, but it's facing inward, not outward, was just a woman holding a noose, and it got 0 traction. No one was interested, and then we changed it to kind of the cartoony, artistic, woman in the fire. That's that's on our t-shirts, and suddenly everybody was interested. So, any closing remarks on controversial topics?
What we've been telling people when they come to us to talk about like a controversial theme is like, really, is it worth the risk? And are you prepared from a PR standpoint to be able to handle that? Like, do you have the ability, and do you want to be dealing with that? If that's something that you're ready to do, if you are ready to build a game that you can stand behind, that people will go and play and be like, you know what, I disagree with you, but you made a good game and you did make a point. There's artistic value to it. Are you prepared to build that? so those are some of the questions that we're asking people, and I think more often than not, it's not worth it to go full extreme on theme and story.
Anything from Lisa?
I agree.
Usually I would have something to say, but I kind of agree.
Yeah.
I have to go with him on that one. So thank you guys for watching Unlocked. Be sure to check out, as we always say, roomescapeartist.com for all the latest reviews and information on the escape room industry. And subscribe, comment below, let us know what other topics you'd like to know. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Later.
Thanks.